And now it's my pleasure to be joined by Chris, the mysterious Chris. We don't know his last name, but he is the operator and star of Cynical Reviews. Cynical Reviews is a channel on YouTube, and viewers, do check it out. Chris is very talented, and in a moment I'm going to explain why Chris is joining us on the show. But first of all, thank you for joining us, Chris.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Stephen.
All right, so Chris is, let me explain to the viewers real quick. Chris is the Cynical Reviewer. And as you know, a little while back, I interviewed a very talented performance artist and also founder and president of Choice42.
Yes, I have a theater background.
Laura Klassen, who is up in Canada. She made a video called The Magical Birth Canal, which went viral, especially among pro-lifers. It was a very clever, very good video, and it kind of made fun of the pro-choice position in a lighthearted but pretty sarcastic way.
Before the baby or fetus is born, it is not a human being, clearly. But as it passes through the birth canal, something amazing happens that transforms it into a person with human rights. Observe, not a person, not a person, not a person, coming out the other end, a person! Human rights!
Now, our guest today put out a video on Cynical Review that made fun of her video. And it was, as I understand it, it was pretty good, but you took it down, Chris, before I even saw it. So the interesting thing here is that you created a thing making fun of a pro-life video. You decided you weren't satisfied with your own work. You took the video down, and beyond that, you even contacted Laura and got in touch with her and said you were sorry about the video and so forth. So this is unusual, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I took the video down. There were a few reasons behind why I took it down. But yes, I was unhappy with the content that I'd made.
Yeah.
Sort of after I uploaded it, I was sort of rewatching it, and I did feel that maybe it was a bit too harsh, a bit too personal, and so I was a little bit uncomfortable with it. But I left it up because people seemed to be enjoying it, and it's the kind of thing I enjoy watching anyway, that kind of humor. So I left it up because I wanted stuff on my channel. Another reason why I took it down is because my main counter thrust to Choice42's video, the main thing that they were arguing against, I thought it was such a ridiculous straw man that no one actually believed it. But it was pointed out to me that actually the position they're arguing against, which is that a baby is not actually a baby until it's born, like that, it's the birth canal that makes the difference, so to speak. That is apparently a law in some countries, including Canada, if that's correct.
Canada is disturbingly non-restrictive on abortion, for sure.
Yeah, I'm not too clued into it, but basically, if that was true, then the rationale for my video was kind of defeated. So it made to me it made the video pointless.
Right.
But I didn't take it down because, again, people were still watching it and enjoying it. But then I got a private message from somebody who was involved with making the video. It wasn't Laura, it was somebody else. But I won't say any more about it. But after receiving that message, that was the final nail in that coffin. So I took it down because I was like, no, I'm definitely not happy with this. I don't want this on my channel anymore.
Right.
But you're right, it is rare. I think there's too many people who are not willing to admit when they've made a mistake or when they've done something that they feel is wrong, or they've produced a piece of work that isn't completely polished or isn't up to the standard that they set for themselves. And a lot of people have a very hard time admitting that to themselves. And even, especially to other people, especially the people that they've targeted in these videos, it's very rare you're going to get somebody who actually... So I saw that Laura had posted on Facebook that I'd taken the video down. It was on her post that I commented, and I said, okay, yeah, I took the video down. This is why. I feel like I went too far. No hard feelings. And then from that, we had this kind of conversation in the thread, and a lot of people kind of chipped in. And it was a very nice conversation, actually. I expected her to take it a lot more personally. So it's to her credit, actually, that she didn't. But I feel like it was nice that we could have that conversation.
Right. Well, one of the things that I admire about Laura, and I actually wonder what your thoughts would be on this, is that Laura is a good sport, that she can take it. One of her comments, in fact, after you took your video down, she said, "Oh, I actually kind of liked it." I mean, she thought it was witty, and you are very interesting, and you know, you're a witty creator on YouTube. And by the way, viewers, do check out Cynical Reviews. We'll put a screen cap up, and you can check that out. But you're a talented commentator, and so she was like, "Oh, I kind of liked it." What do you think of this? Because I think about this often. I made a video, as I've mentioned to you before, a while back, about how arguing is a good thing. And that the problem isn't that we argue too much, it's that we argue poorly, or we don't really argue. Instead, we just have shouting matches. Put it this way. I think people could get along better even if they're very, very much in disagreement about their worldviews, if they stopped insisting on getting along so darn well. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, if we could jab at each other without hard feelings. If people were less easily hurt, they could have a much better time with each other. What do you think of that?
Certainly the point about people being too easily hurt by other people's opinions is a very, very valid one, especially in this day and age.
Yeah.
I think the whole thing about arguing, disagreeing, it depends how you do it. You shouldn't refuse to discuss your beliefs just because some other person will disagree, or you don't want to hurt their feelings. So that's not healthy either. But if the tone of the argument is kind of Fox News, or if it's Antifa versus the pro-Nazis in these rallies, if it's that kind of tone, that's not helpful either. But I do think people would get along better if they were reasonable and rational in how they argued, and they explained their position and tried to understand the other person's position, rather than just trying to hide it for the sake of getting on with other people. And a lot of people do that because they don't want to hurt other people's feelings and they'd rather just get on with people. But I feel that's actually kind of a betrayal of who we are, really. And I think more of us do need to be a bit more confident in our own opinions, but not so confident that we're not willing to listen and take other people's points on board.
Yeah. Well, and in fact, it seems like a lot of it is up to the listener. All the time, people will say things to me, and I think internally to myself, in the spot, I think, I could get really angry and take offense here, or I could really make an effort and not. Particularly, so I come from the backwoods of Vermont, where no one's very nice to each other. And so I mean, it's nice in the Northeast, and this is something supposedly famously New Yorkers are famous for this, but where I come from, people are famous for being not very nice, and yet they're not any less loving than anyone else, right? They're not less neighborly. But there's this old saying actually in Vermont: before you can become friends with a Vermonter, you have to endure 3 major insults. And that's often the case. And even people who are friends, they really do jab each other. This is probably particularly true of men.
Oh, yeah.
But I wish we could recover that. Don't you think? That would be helpful?
Oh, yeah. A bit of banter is all well and good. I do love it. But again, I think it depends. You do have to, I think sometimes you have to be careful. You do have to make sure that it's something that's not going to hurt the person. Like I have a friend whose parents died when he was young. And I would never make a joke about that. Like, I just wouldn't, because I know what effect it would have on him. And then speaking to a total stranger, I don't know that person's experiences. I don't know what they've been through. So I'd be very cautious about making the kind of crude, offensive jokes that I do like to make. Do you know what I mean? I just think you do have to be careful, because you could end up driving people away. But yes, I do think among friends, playful insults and argument is a good thing. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But it depends on the individuals, man.
Yeah. And I do worry it's a dying art. So maybe you can use your channel, Cynical Reviews, to try to revive it along with me.
The art of the insult.
Yeah, the art of the insult. The art of taking an insult and dishing it out as well. But anyway, well, thank you for your courage and for your gentlemanliness in responding to my request to have you on the show. Also for just chatting with me in general, letting me throw ideas off of you, despite the fact that you're a filthy, sneaking leftist, and I am not. So... And viewers, do check out Cynical Reviews. He's a talented guy. So thank you again, Chris. Any parting insults?
I would just say go back to Vermont, really. Sums it up.
All right. Thanks very much. I look forward to having you on again soon.
Well, thanks for having me on, mate.